The Outcast Podcast here on YouTube and Twitch live, waiting on court to start, and we're at day 146 of the YSL trial. Yesterday was a very rough day for the state. They did get a lot of witnesses on, but a lot of it was really not real good information. They really didn't accomplish anything yesterday at all, really. And now, they had Doug, Mr. Weinstein there, and Mr. Brown had their issue that, first thing in the morning yesterday with the pictures. And, Judge Whitaker snapped on Mr. Brown and the state for not having their crap together as usual. It looks, she should really, really stop this from happening. She needs to really get her crap together. I mean, Judge Whitaker, you really need to get this going. Sit here and wait for the court to start. This is the Outcast Podcast. Twitch and YouTube. We're hoping that everything will hope there's more drama today, really. I'd really like to see the state get it again today. I'm hoping that, Judge Whitaker will eventually get tired of this crap and just put them on the road. Be like, okay, this trial's over. Court was supposed to start at 8:45, which puts us about 8 minutes away. I got on here early just to make sure that we were able to get a little bit of commentary in. All right, but anyway, we're live right here on YouTube and Twitch with the YSL trial, day 146. Sit back and hope that the state has another rough day because we like them fireworks. The defense has been on fire the last few days. I mean, they've been doing really good with their cross-examinations, fighting evidence. So everything looks good. This is the Outcast Podcast on YouTube and Twitch. We're just waiting on court to start. Yeah, all right, we're just waiting on court to start. It's YSL trial day 146 here on YouTube and Twitch. Outcast Podcast. We're just waiting on court to start. All right, you folks, we're still waiting on court to start. Again, yesterday, here we go.
Type thing. Do you mind
Computer been
redacting
cut
that
off.
out?
We are live now. Let's rock and roll. YSL
Okay.
day 146.
Wasn't able to yet to let him know that there won't be any issue with that.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I
Great.
appreciate that.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Steele, do you have that? I'm
Being
getting
pulled
to.
up by, I believe, Ms. Westmoreland, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Westmoreland.
Almost there, Your Honor.
No problem.
Can you try rebooting your router? Sure. Thank you. Your Honor, while we wait, I'm going to briefly consult with Mr. Sharp on the time act.
Okay.
Check your email and make sure that's the most recent order. I'm going to send it to you right now. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
What place?
Your Honor, I sent over the order to Ms. Percival. I'm about to forward it to everyone, but I just wanted to get it to you as soon as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's going to take me a minute to read it all. Part of this ruling.
I think if you look at page, the bottom of page 12,
Okay.
court's opinion, Your Honor, I think it's where there's some discussion how it goes into.
All right, thanks.
Your Honor, last paragraph of page 12, maybe about 3 lines before the end
All right.
of the page, going on to page 13, and then I'm looking for more
Okay, I
conditional.
was looking down at the rulings part. Y'all could have maybe given me a heads up yesterday. I could have read this last night. Since we knew we would have Dennis on the stand this morning. That is that if there's a foundation objection or a 403 objection, I'll rule on it at that point in time when the objection's made.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Does the state want to be heard about it beyond that? Okay. All right, are we ready to get the jury in? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you want to go ahead and have, I guess it's just Mr. Dennis at this point, former investigator Dennis? Okay. Retired Detective Dennis, okay. Anyway, let's get the jury in. Morning. Did we swear you yesterday? I don't know if we ever got that far.
I was sworn in the other.
And that was about it? Oh, okay. All right, right. You've already, I'll just remind you, you're still under oath then. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, retired Detective Dennis, I'll just remind you that you are still under oath. And Ms. Hilton, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Investigator Dennis. How are you?
Good morning.
When you were here previously, you testified about your involvement in the investigation of the shootings that occurred after the death of Donovan Thomas. Do you recall testifying to that?
Yes.
All right. And again, during that period in 2015, did you work with your partner, retired Sergeant Gaither, to assist in solving some of those shootings that occurred after the death of Donovan Thomas Jr.?
Yes.
As a member of the gang unit, when you first learned of the shootings that occurred after Donovan Thomas Jr. passed away, did the gang unit or yourself immediately begin investigating those cases as retaliatory shootings?
Yes.
How did the gang unit recognize or realize that some of these shootings were in retaliation of the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Usually it was based on the victims of the shooting.
In the first days between January 11th and January 19th, were there homes that were shot at that were either family members or friends of Kenneth Copeland?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I believe the microphone may not be working. Not yours, Ms. Hill.
The witness mic,
The witness
Oh,
mic.
you just
Thank you.
pull it closer to you.
No, it wasn't on.
Oh, Ms. Hill.
I don't know. I had to hit the button.
Thank you. Can y'all hear it all right now?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
All right.
Where were those homes primarily situated?
Throughout the city. We had them popping up all throughout Atlanta.
Okay. Were there homes on Hendricks Avenue that were targeted in the days immediately following Donovan Thomas's murder?
Yes.
And the addresses that were associated with those homes was that 193 and 197 Hendricks Avenue.
Yes.
Also, was there a home of Mr. Copeland's sister, 878 Oakland Drive, that was targeted as well?
Yes.
How did the fact that homes that were of the family members of Kenneth Copeland factor at all in your investigation after the investigation of those shootings after Donovan Thompson's murder?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as irrelevant at this point unless more foundation is laid.
Overruled.
You may answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The fact that the homes of Kenneth Copeland family members were targeted, how did that factor into your investigation as you began investigating these retaliatory shootings?
We basically would be notified by the patrol officer of the shooting. Usually they happened at night. And usually once they would give the name or they would provide us information indicating that it was a family member of.
Objection, confrontation clause.
Can you rephrase?
Sure. Without saying what any of the officers told you, just how did it factor into your investigation?
We basically gathered information as they came in, and pretty much every night we had a different shooting and we were tasked with investigating it.
Okay. Outside of Kenneth Copeland, did you learn of other homes of individuals that you all associated with YSL members, their family's home being shot or targeted?
Yes.
What was one of those addresses?
Ruby Harper.
Okay. And whose home did you identify that home belonging to?
A family member related to Mr. Williams.
And were you ever able to associate Mr. Williams with that home specifically?
Yes.
How did you do that?
I pulled his driver license picture.
You have permission to approach?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Stacy's Exhibit 540 Yankee. Do you recognize 540 Yankee?
Yes.
And how do you recognize 540 Yankee?
It's Mr. Williams' driver license picture.
And is that, I'm sorry.
From 2015, I believe.
Okay. And is that what you pulled as a part of your investigation?
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate copy of the license information that you pulled regarding Mr. Williams back in 2015?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender Stacy's Exhibit 540Y into evidence.
I'd object to the admission of that evidence as hearsay.
Overruled, admitted.
Your Honor, understanding the court's ruling, there's some personal information on a driver's license. We'd like it redacted.
Okay.
And we're not going to publish, we're just going to ask him to cite the address, Your Honor. But we'll redact it for later.
Okay.
What is the address on Mr. Williams' license?
3424 Ruby H. Harper Boulevard, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia.
And was that the target of one of the shootings between January 11th and January 19th, 2015?
Yes.
Now, as these shootings came in, were you trying to identify potential suspects of those shootings?
Yes.
How did you go about doing that?
We would start with a police report. And with that police report, we would try to find whatever evidence we could with that, reaching out to the victims or witnesses, any car descriptions, suspect descriptions, and we would go from there. We would also reach out to our crime lab to see what shell casings was recovered. They would do what's called NIBIN, and NIBIN would tell us if it was related to a specific weapon or any other shooting incident that had occurred prior.
At any point in time, did you all go to social media in order to see if you can get any intel on what may be happening out in the community?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any particular social media pages that you all went to or that you saw that informed your investigation?
Yes.
What were some of those pages?
Immediately after the death of Donovan Thomas, there was a fake Instagram, I believe, page created death to snake N-words. And from that, it was almost like a play-by-play of what was going on, or those associated with Mr. Thomas. They basically were sending threats and telling what the,
Hearsay.
Yep.
Overruled.
Best evidence rule, then.
That's,
Evidence rule. Best evidence rule.
oh, sorry, best evidence. Do you have,
I do.
all right.
Did
Go
you,
ahead.
did you collect, or did you all collect some of those posts?
yes.
Thank you.
Permission to approach?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 546Y. It's 546Y, one of those such posts that came from that Death to Snake N-words page.
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of one of the posts that you saw in the early days after Mr. Thompson was killed?
Yes.
Yeah, this time the state would like the tender State's Exhibit 546Y into evidence.
Object to any hearsay in it. It's being used for the truth of the matter.
Your Honor, we're not offering any of the words in there for the truth of the matter, sir, but just to illustrate that that was the post that was given, or that was posted on social media.
I'll object to any of the words on the page except for the post.
But
The death to snakes, if that's what the prosecutor's getting at. But any statement is being used for the truth of the matter asserted, I object.
Your Honor, may we approach, I think it might be on longer.
Stand by.
Okay, and that's for, sorry, 546Y. All right, and so that's admitted subject to what we discussed up here.
Okay. And let me ask you this, Detective Dennis. The post that you were seeing on this Death to Snake N-words page, did they have threats on those pages?
Yes,
All right. And were those threats directed at anyone?
yes.
Who?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Kenneth Copeland, Woody?
Okay. Permission to publish the version that we discussed, Your Honor?
The first one,
Yes.
you may.
Interesting start to the day. Let's hope it gets better here, but this is the YSL Child Day 146 live on the Outcast Podcast on YouTube. I don't know if we lost audio or if they, oh, here we go. They're back. Okay.
Now, as a part of your investigation, of course, indulgence for a moment. As a part of your investigation, did an individual by the name of Rayshawn Bennett come up as a part of your investigation?
Yes.
How did he come up as a part of your investigation?
At one point, his mother's house was shot up twice.
And when, as you were investigating the case, did you ever speak with Quindarius Zachary about anything that could have happened at those two homes?
Yes.
And did you know anything about those shootings prior to speaking to Mr. Zachary?
Yes.
What information did you have about those two shootings as a part of your investigation prior to speaking with Mr. Zachary?
It could be hearsay. I don't know. It's a broad question, so I'm going to preliminary object to hearsay and confrontation clause,
Okay.
unless it is narrow.
Overruled.
The weapon that Mr. Zachary was caught with in May of 2015 was named back to the second shooting of Rayshawn Bennett's mother's house where she was shot.
In the first shooting of Mrs. Bennett's home, were you familiar with Kelvin Watts?
Yes.
What about Jamal Baines?
Yes.
And what about Jermaine Hardiman?
Yes.
How were you familiar with those three individuals?
They were arrested the day of that shooting.
Okay. And were those three individuals associated with any gangs?
They were associated with IF Gang.
At the time, was Mr. Bennett associated with any gangs?
IF Gang.
Now, I want to take you to some shootings that occurred on January 26th. Do you recall any shootings as a part of your investigation regarding this kind of gang war that occurred on January 26th of 2015?
Yes.
Right. To your knowledge, how many shootings occurred on January 26, 2015?
Several.
Okay. Were you familiar with, as a part of your investigation, Mr. Copeland being shot on the highway on January 26, 2015?
Yes.
And do you remember that case number was 15-026-0124?
I don't remember the case number off the top of my head.
No problem. Also on that same day, was Lucci Mama's house shot on 1/26/2015?
Yes.
And then on that same day, was Trevante Turner shot on 1/26/2015?
Yes.
And Trevante Turner back in 2015, did he associate with YSL?
Yes.
And the shooting of Trevante Turner, was that on 198 Stanhope?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to give you 3 APD case numbers. I want you to tell the jury which would be first, second, and third in the day, okay? 15-026-0124, 15-026-2672, 15-026-2801. Which one would have been the earliest in the day?
The one with the zero. Basically, our case numbers are broken down by the Julian date. The Julian date, January 1st, would be 001, and so forth and so on until 365 days. When they come into our 911 dispatch, whatever number that is in the course of the day of incidents, that's what the number is. And so based on those case numbers, the first number would have been first, and second and third based on the case number, how they came.
So would 0124 been the first for that day?
Yes.
Then 2672?
Yes.
And then 2801?
Correct.
And would 2672 and 2801, depending on the activity of that day, be pretty close in time to each other?
That's correct. And it basically resets at midnight. So, for example, if something, like today was the 16th, if an incident happened overnight on the 15th at midnight, it would become the 16th, even though it's pretty much close in proximity, it's the same time.
On January 28th, 2015, did you ever interview a woman by the name of Antrevia Smith?
Yes.
And what was your reason for interviewing with Ms. Smith?
Her apartment was shot up on Springdale Road.
And did that shooting happen on January 28th, 2015?
Yes.
And was that 2 days after the last incident we just discussed?
Yes.
And based on your investigation, do you know if she was the target of that shooting?
That would be hearsay and confrontation clause.
Overruled.
Her residence was the target. I don't think necessarily her, but her residence was.
And based on your investigation, were you aware of anyone else staying at her residence during this time period?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Based on our interview of her, she explained that
That would be confrontation clause.
That would also be
Ms.
impeachment.
James.
Your Honor, Ms. Smith testified and denied who was in her home.
So prior
inconsistent statement.
Okay, overruled.
Mr. Watts was at her home during the shooting.
And did she tell you that Mr. Watts was there at the time during the shooting?
Yes.
And did she provide you during your interview with her a video that she thought that you should have?
Yes.
And what was that video?
Her neighbor had a camera set up in the window pointing outward, so it basically captured the drive-by shooting.
Did she provide you any other videos?
She provided us a video of Mr. Sledge, Montunk, and Quindarius Zachary basically taunting Mr. Watts and their rivals.
And I want to show you what's already been admitted as State Exhibit 441Y. It should come up on your screen. provided to you after she told you that Mr. Watts was in her home when her home was shot up?
Yes.
Now, after that, in February 2015, did you, as a part of your investigation, learn of a shooting involving Mr. Watts where he was shot?
Yes.
And then on that same day, on February 10, 2015, did you learn of 193 Hendricks Avenue being shot at again after Mr. Watts was shot?
Yes. Hendricks was basically, after most incidents, they would go shoot up Hendricks almost as a retaliation immediately or sometime thereafter.
And as a part of your investigation, who resided on Hendricks?
I believe Kenny Boo.
And do you know what, if any, relationship that did Kenny Boo have with Mr. Copeland or his family?
I don't.
Then, as a part of your investigation, did you also look into the shooting that occurred on February 19, 2015, the shooting involving Mr. Copeland, his child, and his child's mother?
Yes.
Right. And do you recall if anyone was arrested for that particular shooting?
4 IF gang members were arrested for that shooting.
Sitting here today, do you remember who the 4 IF gang members were?
Octavius Franklin, Josiah Johnson, Bobby Hardy.
All right. We'll leave you.
Octavius Franklin, common spelling. Josiah Johnson, Bobby Hardy, and Josiah Johnson.
I think you said Josiah Johnson twice.
I could be missing one.
Okay.
Franklin, Johnson, Fleetwood, Dalviante Fleetwood. Is that 4? I'm sorry.
Now, did there ever come a point in between January and February, that some of the shootings, I'm going to say for lack of a better term, died down in the earlier parts of 2015?
Repeat that?
Sure. I'm going to ask between January and June, so I'll ask a different question. Between January and June of 2015, did there ever come a period of time where the shootings slowed down between January and June?
March.
And to your knowledge, do you know if in March of 2015, Mr. Williams was on tour?
I was told of that, but yes.
And do you, to your knowledge, do you know if any of the YSL members were on tour with Mr. Williams during that time?
I'm going to object to any hearsay.
Overruled. To your knowledge, do you know if any other YSL members were on tour with Mr. Williams during that time?
Yes.
Do you know who?
Not everybody, no.
Do you know some?
Yes.
Who?
Mr. Kendricks, Mr. Zachary, Mr. Stilwell Jackson.
Do you know if Mr. Copeland was on tour with them during that time?
I'm not sure.
All right, folks. Sorry, I had to go get me a cup of coffee. This is Outcast Podcast Live, YouTube.
Now I want to take you to April 2nd of 2015.
Well, 2015 is
Was there
a big time for them.
homicide that occurred on April 2nd, 2015, that was a part of your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Who was the victim of that homicide?
Mr. Rivers.
Okay. And based on your investigation and working up these shootings, do you know if he was a member of?
Let me just close caption up here a little bit.
He was documented as a 30 deep gang member.
Objection, confrontation clause.
Overruled.
area.
And I believe previously you talked about the relationship between 30 Deep and YSL,
Correct.
correct?
Amazing how things are going with this right here. It really is. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. There's ain't so much you can do.
Now, as a part of your investigation, did you ever learn of a residence at 35 Oak Drive?
35, oh, yes.
Okay. And based on your investigation, who resided or frequented that location?
Kelvin Treadwell, Mr. Williams.
Well, they're doing everything they can to get Jeffrey in this thing, ain't they? And they ain't been able to get him into it yet. They suck. Where's Adrian Love? Where's Mr. Brown? And Hilton is taking her time questioning this guy.
Now, take you to April 12th of 2015. Did you, Sergeant Gaither, investigate the shooting of Dexter Montgomery?
Yes.
Did you? And it's all about the 2015. All of it.
And during the course of that investigation, did you also meet with Walter Murphy?
Yes.
And when you met with Walter Murphy, did he talk to you about?
May we approach?
Yes.
Oh, here we go. All right, folks, so back to a sidebar. Something coming up that Mr. Sharp did not like. So we're going into a bench conference. The state's off to a bad start again this morning. They were off to a bad start yesterday. Adrian Love's missing. Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown got his butt kicked yesterday. I don't know what he was doing, but he did not have his crap together enough to satisfy the judge, because he was just flat out what judges want, what the court wants is somebody who knows how to try a case. Boy, that's a low blow coming from a judge. When you're an attorney, I'd have quit. I'd have been like, I'm no longer a member of the bar, or I'd have been like, I'm going to go to work for a corporate office somewhere, get out of trying cases, because apparently I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That's sad though. Outcast Podcast coming to you live on YouTube. YSL RICO trial day 146. It's hard to believe it's been 146 trial days, and we're not even through the state's case yet. I wonder how many more witnesses they are going to try to put up here. Hey, go ahead and hit that like button for me if you don't mind. Hit that subscribe button too. You're popping in. If you don't come back, I understand, but hey, I can need them subscribers so I can do the things that I can do at 1,000 and 2,000 and 3,000 subscribers that I can't not do with any subscribers. I just don't, there's just some things I can't do for you guys because I just don't have enough subscribers to do it. All right, we're back. Let's see what's going on here.
Slow down. Sorry.
All right, here we go again. I don't know what that objection is about.
Let me ask you this. Did that address at Oak Drive have any significance to you as you began investigating all the retaliatory shootings from 2015?
Yes.
What was that significance?
And investigating the Dexter Montgomery shooting, it was told to us that that's,
Sustained. Sustained.
Let me ask you this. When you, without saying what anybody said, why was it significant?
during our investigation, we learned that was where the suspects are.
Same objection.
Sustained.
Were you part of the interview with Quindarius Zachary?
Yes,
And in your interview with Quindarius Zachary, did he talk about where the guns in the car was taken after the murder of Donovan Thomas?
yes.
Okay. Where was that location?
Oak Drive, or whatever it is.
And was that your understanding of Kelvin Treadwell's home?
Yes,
All right.
Anybody notice the state's being a little
And is
more
that the same location that became
meticulous
relevant
today?
as a part of the Dexter Montgomery shooting?
yes.
They're not doing what they normally do. Surprising. But Adrian Love's not up there and Brown's not up there. Hilton and Atkins know what they're doing, kind of.
And with the Dexter Montgomery shooting, was there a suspect and later someone arrested by the name of Demise McMullen?
Yes, Nard.
Here comes Nard.
And did that same name come up as a part of the Donovan Thomas murder investigation?
Yes.
Sorry, I need to stay by the mic.
We're going to do a special later on tonight about the YSL trial.
And in both the Dexter Montgomery shooting and the Donovan Thomas murder, was Mr. Nard suspected to be a shooter?
Yes.
I wonder what Judge Whitaker's regular courtroom looks like. They kept using this one. It was already set up for the trial. They didn't want to have to set up an agreement, I guess. Of course, he has his own courtroom too,
Now,
because
when
he's
you met
talking about
with
it before.
Mr. Zachary, was that in August of
This
2015?
might be a spare
Yes.
courtroom for a bigger trial.
And during that meeting with him, did you speak with him about the Little Wayne bus shooting?
Yes.
And at the time, was he able to provide you information
Agent
about
on
the
hearsay
Little
here.
Wayne bus shooting?
Yes.
And was Mr. Zachary one of the people that you saw that night at the compound back in April of 2015?
Objection asked and answered previously.
Sustained.
Now, the Little Wayne bus shooting happened on April 26, 2015?
Yes.
Right. 2 days after that, on April 28, 2015, was there a series of shootings that occurred?
Yes.
Okay. What were the series of shootings that you investigated as a part of your investigation with this retaliatory shootings on April 28, 2015?
The 1428 Adele, 1903 Drew, and the Landrum Drive shooting.
Okay. Was there an incident at Club Crucial on that day as well?
Yes.
And as a part of your investigation, what occurred at Club Crucial?
Demiki and Garlington got jumped inside.
And based on your investigation, is Demekion Garlington associate or member of YSL.
Yes.
Right. Did you investigate, you said you don't remember case numbers.
No.
Let me ask you about a series of numbers again. 15-118-0288,
Okay.
15-118-0462,
Okay.
15-118-0531, and 15-118-0588.
Okay.
Would the 0288 be the first incident of that sequence?
Yes. If I can, I don't know if you write it down or something.
That's a lot of numbers to keep in your head. Here's a pad.
YSL trial, day 146, YouTube Live. State dragging their feet as always. Bub and Brown, haven't seen them this morning. What in the world are you doing, woman? This is what keeps this trial going somewhere that needs to go.
Oh, that 8 was.
Okay, so with 15-118-0288, 15-118-0462, 15-118-0531, 15-118-0588. Is this the order that they would have occurred in that day?
Yes.
So this would have been first, second, third, and fourth.
Correct.
And here goes the state dragging their heels yet again. Whitaker, get it together.
We're gonna come back to that chart in 1 second. When you met with Quindarius Zachary, was he able to identify people who were that he told you were involved in the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yes,
And did you show him pictures to confirm who he was speaking of when you talked to him?
yes.
Permission to approach your microphone?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 542 Y or 542 Yankee Alpha through Yankee J. Look through those and tell me if you recognize all of those.
While he's looking, can we approach this?
Yes.
All right, looks like we're going back to sidebar again. YSL RICO trial day 146. The state of Georgia starting off kind of bad again this morning. They're not as bad as they were yesterday, but Love is not around. They haven't seen Brown. Brown got his butt cut yesterday. The judge did not play with him yesterday at all. He got his butt whooped. Really funny. It really is. We'll see how today goes, but yeah, I don't think it's going to go any better today than it did yesterday. If it does, I'll be surprised. I'm going to put a special together. I don't know if I'm going to do it live or if I'm just going to put it together and post it, but folks, I'm going to go back to day one and just start compiling when the state's having a bad day in the YSL RICO trial. I don't know if there's enough storage and YouTube servers for that. All right, we're back.
And let me ask a more specific question. As far as the shooting of Donovan Thomas,
Notice that she said shooting.
who did Mr. Zachary said was, and let me get more specific, those who actually were a part of the drive-by shooting?
Diamante Kendricks, aka Yak, Demise McMullen, aka Nard, Justin Cobb, aka Doo-Wop, and Shannon Stillwell Jackson, aka SB.
And it's 542YA, 542YF, 542YD, and 542YB, the images that you showed him to confirm those individuals.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, state would like to admit 542YA, YA, YB, YD, and YF.
Those are admitted.
Permission.
You may.
All right, here we go. Snitch Fest. All right, folks, I'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to step away. I'm going to keep everything going for you. YSL Day 146 Live, Outcast Podcast.
Looking at 542YA, who did Mr. Zachary identify that as?
Diamante Kendricks.
Okay. 542YB,
Demise McMullen,
542YF,
Shannon Stillwell Jackson,
542YD.
Justin Cobb,
And did he have a nickname?
Duwop.
Now, during during your meeting with him, did you just have him also identify other individuals that he knew as part of YSL?
Yes.
All right. Now showing you 542YE, 542YC, 542YG, YH, and YI. Tell me if those are the other pictures that you showed him during that interview.
Yes, they are.
And are those fair and accurate depictions of the picture that you showed him during his August interview?
Yes.
Now, this time the state would like to admit State's Exhibit 542YE, 542YC, 542YG, 542YH, and 542YI into evidence.
No objection, we have Mr. Wood.
All right, that's your minute.
And permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may.
First, looking at 542YC, who did Mr. Zachary identify that as?
Jeffrey Young Thug Williams.
Okay, and that the same individual, is that the same picture that was on his driver's license?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 1JJ.
Or Club Crucial.
Now I'm going to also show you now what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 4KK. Admitted as 2LL. Oh, sorry, 1LL.
All right, there you go. I wonder where we went. I didn't know what was going on there for a
And let me
second.
ask you,
He
was
just
903
disappeared.
Drew
Here we
Drive
go.
one of the addresses that was significant as a part of your investigation?
Yes,
What was the significance of 1903 Drew Drive?
it was the home of Philip Collins, aka Philo, who's
Oh, what's going on there now? Oh, there we go.
And what about 1428 Adele Avenue? What, if any, significance did 1428 Adele Avenue have in your investigation?
that was the home of Darren Mills, Philo's brother.
Does anybody got a feeling this is going where it doesn't need to go? Another wasted day if that's the
Now, on April 28th,
It's
did you
another wasted
learn
day.
of another shooting that happened at 2900 Landrum?
Yes,
And who was staying there at that time based on your investigation?
Trevante Turner's girlfriend.
And to your knowledge, do you know when in the line of events that shooting occurred?
It's gonna be either 3 or 4.
Either 3 or 4, okay. You said that was where Trevante Turner's girlfriend lived?
Yes,
Is that the same Trevante Turner that was shot in January on Stanhope?
yes,
And Club Crucial, that's where Demekion got beat up?
yes,
And did you say earlier jumped on by IF gang members?
yes,
And was Demekion a YSL member?
yes.
And so after Demekion gets beat up, then you have the call for the shooting at Adele?
Yes,
And
Overruled.
is Darren Mills an IF gang member?
yes,
Then after this shooting, do you get the call for the Landrum?
yes,
And Trevante is associated with YSL?
yes,
And then after the shooting at Landrum, then you get the call for the 1903 Drew?
yes.
And Philo, what gangs he associated with?
If gang.
Was that the definition of the type of retaliatory shootings you were getting in 2015?
Yes,
And was that the nature of the back and forth from January of 2015 to about September, October of 2015?
yes,
And as law enforcement, were you investigating both sides of this war that was going back and forth?
yes.
Were you only targeting YSL?
No,
Were you only targeting IF gang?
we targeted gang members and violence.
Okay. Now, did there come a time in October of 2015 that you had the occasion to interview Mr. Diamante Kendrick?
Yes,
Do you recall when you interviewed Mr. Kendrick?
I don't know the exact date, but it was a short time after he was arrested.
And what was he arrested for?
Martinez Arnold, aka Duke, was jumped in Magic City Strip Club. We were made aware of it, and we were able to obtain video of the actual assault. A short time after the assault, Mr. Kendricks and Mr. Arnold went to retaliate at Trestle Tree, which is a known hangout for Mr. Kelvin Watts and other IF gang members. When they arrived at the location, there was police already out there. And when they attempted to speed off or whatever, they got into a chase, subsequently crashing and subsequently being arrested.
Okay. And were there guns inside the vehicle when they were arrested?
Yes,
Now, as a part of your investigation, did you go and try to pull or see if there was an actual fight at Magic City?
yes,
Have you had opportunity to review that video in preparation for your testimony today?
yes,
We approach.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to view a video in the fight that or whatever it is that the witnesses testifying about occurred at a place that is a strip club. And so while that is not why the video is being shown, you're going to see some images that are things one might see at a strip club. So be prepared.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as the jewels of the trial, 543 wide. Is that a copy of that video that you pulled as a part of your investigation?
Yes.
You're in this time to say like the tender and admit and publish statement 543 wide.
All right. I'm sorry, 543Y, that's admitted, you may.
Hey, give me a tissue. Yeah.
Just orient the jury where they need to be looking to see the fight on in the video.
In this first video, you're gonna see an individual walk right to here. Mr. Arnold is right there, and the video will pretty much do it.
43Y Yankee 1 for the record. Now publishing 543 Yankee 2.
Shall be the same, but that's a different angle. This is going to fight. It's going to begin, and then this is where it's going to spill over into.
Are they still fighting?
They are still fighting.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming this video didn't have any sound because I don't
1
hear
minute
it up there.
and 28
Yep.
seconds.
I guess not. Okay. That makes sense.
Now, when you spoke with Mr. Kendrick about this incident, was he read his, you said he was arrested, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was he read his Miranda warnings?
Yes.
When you met with Mr. Kendrick, who all was in the room with you when you met with Mr. Kendrick?
Detective Thorpe, Sergeant Gaither, and myself.
All right. And when you went to go speak with him, did he agree to speak with you all?
Yes.
Did he appear to have any learning disability?
No.
Did he appear to be intoxicated or otherwise incapacitated?
No.
Did he appear to be sick?
No.
Where did you all interview Mr. Kendrick?
Atlanta Police Headquarters.
Yes.
Yeah. If this line of questioning is going to continue, can we have that same limiting instruction that you gave yesterday?
Yes, and in fact, let's go ahead and take our morning break.
All right, Mr.
All right. Not sure what we got going on here, folks, but we'll figure it out here in a second. Something about a limiting instruction. Not sure what's going on. We'll figure it out here. Why is hell RICO trial day
Now, I just
146
wanna
live on
adjust it
YouTube?
to be specific to this.
Okay, here we go.
So y'all can go ahead and we'll take our recess as well.
All right, looks like the court's going to go on break for a few minutes. And as soon as the court comes back off break, we'll be back. what is your feelings on not seeing Love and not seeing Mr. Brown this morning? Mr. Brown got his butt cut yesterday by the judge. He's not here this morning. Haven't seen Adrian Love. I got a feeling Love's being either replaced or I think she might want to get taken off the case. What I'm predicting Finding Willis is going to just be like, she's going to lose this next election. She's not going to get reelected in November. And at that point, she's not going to care anymore about the YSL RICO trial because she has lost the reelection. If she does that, then this case is pretty much going to go away at that point. I do believe she'll probably just go in and have it dismissed and be done with it. And then she'll have 28 lawsuits against her for going through all this and then, asking for a mistrial or whatever. I don't know where this is going to go, but I don't think it's going to go the way the state wants it to go. I really don't. I see Adrian Love getting in some serious trouble with the court before this is all said and done. This is the Outcast Podcast on YouTube Live. Please, if you make it this far, please subscribe, please like, help me build this channel. I need 1,000 subscribers to be able to unlock special features on YouTube Live that I don't have right now. So go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe. Help me grow. This is the Outcast Podcast right here on YouTube Live. Greg sitting in here with you today. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. Hey now. We're going to be putting together a special for the YSL trial. I'm going to go back to day one. And we're just going to put some bits and pieces together. And we're going to show you how the state started off bad and has continued to be bad. And 99.9% of it was Adrian Love. And then after that, it kind of calmed down a little bit. Got my puppy in my lap, so if you hear whimpering, it's my little 7-week-old puppy. He's having his little fit right now. He's in my lap. I think put him on the floor. His bed is right beside my computer here, and he is. I'm gonna get on camera, baby. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. See if I can bring. Y'all have to excuse the background behind me. This way y'all don't see me. I had a stroke not too long ago, and I'm still working on things. But here's my baby. This is Justice. Say Justice. Say to him. Say. Okay. All right, now I can get my ugly mug off of here. I'm gonna have a full green screen behind me for too much longer. I'm gonna be able to see any of that. It looks like we got a limited instruction of some sort coming up, so I'm not sure what this testimony is going to be about, but it's interesting that we had to take a break to write a limited instruction. It is the Outcast Podcast, YouTube. Outcast Podcast, court is still out on break. We'll be right back, folks.
Limiting instruction and make sure nobody has any issue with it. So the first paragraph that's kind of general would be the same, and then I would say in the next part of the testimony of this witness, you're going to hear about a statement made by defendant Diamante Kendrick. You may consider that statement only against Mr. Kendrick and only as to count one. You may not consider this statement as to any other count, and you may not consider it in any way in determining the guilt or innocence of any other defendant in this case besides Mr. Kendrick. Anything else y'all want?
Your Honor,
Yes.
we just want to renew our objection on the admissibility.
Understood.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Stillwell, of course, I joined Ms. Westmoreland, but additionally, I have a question. In the statement, there was certain things that we've already established are not admissible, like Mr. Kendrick. I don't want to mischaracterize what Mr. Kendrick said, but there was some speculation, or I heard that so-and-so were involved with other incidents, and we've all agreed that that would not be proper to come in. I just want to make sure that Investigator Dennis is
Knows that as well.
clear on all that.
And
We don't-
for clarification, are y'all playing the statement excerpts? You're just asking him about things. And have you made sure that he knows what not to get into?
I did, but I will
Remind him? Okay, great. All right, why don't you do that real fast?
And Your Honor, I'm going to go back to something first.
Okay.
And then, so I'll let.
All right, so give me sounds good. All right. And then as soon as he gets back, we'll get the jury in.
Outcast Podcast, YouTube Live, Day 146, YSL trial, Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams and et al. We just had to kick back and see how things go here today. State had a very shaky day yesterday, and it looks like it could be a shaky day again today. I don't see Love. I don't see Brown. Brown got his butt whipped yesterday by the judge, so that might be why he ain't here. But I've noticed the last couple of days has been just pointless testimony, especially yesterday. That was some of the most pointless testimony ever yesterday. But it's the YSL.
Ms. Hilton, unless there's something to be gained from having the witness search through and find them, how about next time you just hand the January flyers to the witness?
But I think it is important, Your Honor, given the stack that was in there. It is irrelevant. It is. Yes? Yes, sir. How many are there in that entire stack?
2.
All right. And did those all appear to be in, did they all appear to be in chronological order?
No.
So when you looked at it, did it appear to be the earliest date started at top and then it went in chronological order?
Yes, it started in, I think, 2014 or something.
Okay. And how many were from January of 2015?
Just these 2 that's in my hand.
What's the first date in January that's on there?
January 18th in Tampa, Florida.
That's in Tampa, Florida. What's the other one?
January 21st in Santa Ana, California.
All right. So in Tampa, that's January 18th.
Yes.
Not
2015.
January 11th?
No.
Not January 12th?
No.
13th?
No.
14th?
Nope.
15th?
Nope.
16th?
Nope.
Did you see any flyers in that stack from any of those days?
No, ma'am.
Any flyers from that stack in Miami, Florida?
No.
From January? Anything in January in Miami?
No, ma'am.
As a part of your investigation, did you learn that several YSL members went to Miami immediately following the death of Donovan Thomas?
Yes.
And as a part of your investigation, did Quindarius Zachary tell you that they went to Miami because Mr. Williams had a show in Miami or a
No.
performance in Miami?
No.
What did he tell you why they went?
To get away from everything that was going on.
Did anyone ever mention to you shows in Miami?
No.
You been to Miami before?
Several times.
You been to Tampa before?
Several times.
What's the distance between Miami and Tampa?
That's about a good 6 to 7 hour drive, maybe.
Now, I want to republish very quickly State's Exhibit 1LL. And again, what was the case number on 1LL?
Is that one L on the screen?
And I'm going to show you 2LL. Is this the 1LL on the screen that you just looked at previously?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to show you what's already been as 2LL.
At that location?
All right. So earlier when I had the 0588 number, do these two numbers go with the same incident, 0587 and 0588?
No.
No. What we just talked about, 0588, which is 2LL, correct?
Right.
That's at 1903 Drew.
Correct.
And going back to 1LL.
Where is it? Oh.
Is that 0587?
That's Drew as well.
Okay, so that's fine. So are both 0588 and 0587 both associated with Drew Drive?
Correct.
All right. Earlier, we talked about the fact that 2900 happened between Adele and Drew. Is that fair?
Yes.
Is there another number on here that's 0531?
The one, this one, 3.
Now, in September of 2015, as a part of your investigation, did you investigate any shootings in which Mr. Shannon Stillwell was the victim of the shooting?
Yes.
How many such shootings was a part of your kind of investigation?
2.
When, do you recall when in September both of those took place?
The first was September 13th from I don't know the actual address, I just know it as the Green Store.
Okay. And then when was the second?
The Tierra Jones murder investigation.
And did the Green Store shooting happen before the Tierra Jones homicide?
Yes.
And was there anyone ever apprehended for the Green Store shooting?
No.
Okay. What about for Tierra Jones?
Yes.
All right. initially, do you know who arrest warrants were taken out?
Yes.
Taken out, who?
Kelvin Watts, Bobby Hardy, and Jamal Ward.
And later on, do you know if there were specific people, was there anyone not charged out of those three?
Say that again?
Out of the initial three, Dominique Carter, Bobby Hardy,
No.
excuse me, Bobby Hardy, Jamal Ward, and Kelvin Watts, were any of them not actually indicted for that offense?
Kelvin Watts was not indicted, and then Dominique Carter was charged.
Okay. And does Dominique Carter have a nickname?
Stewie.
What about Bobby Hardy?
Smoke.
And what about Jamal?
Merle.
Okay. And are any of them affiliated with a gang?
All of them are associated with If Gang.
Now, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard yesterday, and maybe prior to that as well, sometimes evidence is admitted against some parties and not others, or for some counts and not others. And when this happens, the evidence can be considered by you, the jury, only as to the party against whom it's offered and only for the count for which it's offered, and not against any other defendant or for any other count or purpose. In the next part of the testimony of this witness, you're going to hear about a statement made by defendant Diamante Kendrick. You may consider that statement only against Mr. Kendrick and only as to count one. You may not consider this statement as to any other count, and you may not consider it in any way at all in determining the guilt or innocence of any other defendant in this case besides Mr. Kendrick.
Thank you, Your Honor. When you met with Mr. Kendrick, was he read his Miranda warnings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think where I left off is you said that you had, the interview was at the Atlanta Police Headquarters?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you remember about what time of day you spoke with Mr. Kendrick?
Middle of the day, I guess.
Speak up. You said,
Middle of the day, I guess. I'm not sure.
were there portions of the interview where you took breaks?
Yes.
Right. You said you read his, did you read the Miranda warnings or did another investigator read it in the room?
I'm not sure.
Did you all read it from a card or did you have a sheet of paper that you read it
We
from?
usually give them a sheet and allow them to read it. We ask them their highest level of education, have them initial it and sign it.
Did he ever ask you to repeat anything when you were going over his rights?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever threaten Mr. Kendrick to get him to speak with you?
No.
Did you ever promise him anything to get him to speak with you?
No.
Did you tell him about the charges for which he was charged with on that day?
I believe Detective Thorpe did.
At any point, did he waive, well, initially when you spoke to him, did he waive his rights?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. It's commenting on my client's right to maintain his silence.
Sustained.
We were trying to establish the voluntariness of.
Come up to the bench.
let me ask you specifically. After you read him his rights, did he agree to speak with you?
Yes,
Okay. After reading it, he understood his rights. He agreed to speak with you.
yes.
Okay. All right.
And let me just given that clarification, it sounds like it was just a misunderstanding. But let me just let the jury know that every defendant, every accused, everybody who ever is a suspect in a crime has a right to remain silent, doesn't have to talk to the police. And if they choose to remain silent, it is wildly inappropriate to comment on that. However, this was just a misunderstanding, so we're not going to worry about that. All right, go ahead, Primer.
When you spoke with Mr. Kendrick, did you speak with him about a fight that occurred at Club Crucial?
Yes,
And specifically, did you speak with him about a fight that happened at Club Crucial after Kenneth Copeland was beat up at Club Crucial?
yes,
And was that fight somewhere around January 6th of 2015?
yes,
And specifically, did he talk about his involvement in fighting an individual by the name of Bloody J?
yes.
What did he tell you about his involvement in fighting Bloody J?
That when they got outside, he was the one that punched Bloody J.
And again, this is all after Kenneth Copeland was beat up inside of the club.
Correct.
During the course of your speaking with Mr. Kendrick, did he talk to you about any conflict or tension he had with an individual by the name of Rich Homie Quan?
Yes.
What did he tell you about the tension or conflict that he had with Rich Homie Quan?
He spoke about he had went to a club. I don't remember the exact date. And when he walked in, he saw Rich Homie Quan, and Rich Homie Quan, cousin or something. No one said nothing to him when he walked in. And then once he got to a certain area, he spoke of how Rich Homie Quan began pointing at him. And his cousin or something had pulled him to the side and basically said, don't do that, Yak, don't do that. And he basically explained that he was just there, but he could see how everyone was kind of positioning themselves. And initially he wanted to leave, but he didn't want to look like he was basically scared or something, so he stayed. But it was basically tension in there.
Was this before or after January 10th, 2015?
This was after.
The incident that he was telling you about was after?
Yes.
When you spoke with Mr. Kendrick, did he acknowledge a beef between YSL and If Gang?
Yes.
Did he ever speak with you about his desire or wanting to be a member of the Bloods?
Yes.
In speaking with Mr. Kendrick, did he ever appear to be confused about his understanding what a gang was?
No.
During the course of the interview, did he talk about gang banging or being a part of a gang?
Yes.
During your interview, did he ever claim to no longer be a part of a gang?
He basically spoke about moving on past that as the music was starting to take off, and he basically indicated that he felt like he was nobody. He didn't respect the gang culture of having like leaders or different stuff like that, and he basically said he deemed himself a Blood, so he started being a Blood.
Did he talk with you about this incident following the fight that we just viewed a few moments ago?
Yes.
What was he able to tell you about what happened following that fight at Club Crucial? Excuse me, at Magic City.
He basically told us how he was filming a video that day, and it kind of fell through. And he got high, had some lean, and was kind of having a bad day. And then his friend Duke called him, basically telling them that they just jumped, and he was like, "Pull up on me." And so they met up somewhere.
Well, hold on. You saying pull up on me. What does that mean?
Meet me somewhere. And basically they met somewhere, and he felt like it wasn't his beef, but he's almost coming to the aid of his friend. And so they came up with the idea of going to retaliate.
And when they were stopped, where were they stopped? Where did they see the police at initially?
Trestle Tree Apartments.
And what is the significance of Trestle Tree Apartments?
Trestle Tree is a strong, like a main hangout for Kelvin Watts and IF gang members.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been admitted as 27 DDDP. Hat?
With the chain on, yes.
Okay. Now, did they ever make it to Trestle Tree? They being Mr. Arnold and Mr. Kendrick.
They made it to Trestle Tree, but there was a large police presence, and so they attempted to leave Trestle Tree. And according to Mr. Kendricks, he didn't know his way around over there, and so they had to make a U-turn. When they made the U-turn, that alerted police, and that's how the chase initiated or started.
And did he talk to you about the guns that were found in the vehicle?
Yes.
And did he advise to you which gun was his?
Yes.
And do you remember today which gun he said that was his?
Initially, he spoke about he had just purchased the stick, which would be the long gun.
Okay.
And then he was the driver. And so the handgun, I believe, was found in the driver's area.
During that interview, did you speak with him about the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yes.
And I'm asking you specifically, did he ever tell you whether or not he could remember where he was on the night that Donovan Thomas was murdered?
I believe he did.
Do you remember where he said he was?
I don't. I think he said he was at his girlfriend's house.
And do you know the name of that girlfriend?
Busha. Busha.
Okay. Now, as you did your investigation over that span of investigating the incidents between January of 2015, at some point in 2015, did your investigation conclude?
It never really concluded. Our unit was tasked with stopping crime. Our unit was on the floor with our chief. Anytime there was a significant incident, they reached out to our unit to assist. Homicide usually dealt with if there was a murder, but gangs usually dealt with what led up to the murder, and what was coming afterwards. So we were tasked with different assignments or different incidents.
Okay. And towards the end of 2015, excuse me, did you deem this gang war between YFN and YSL Operation Planters?
I didn't deem it, but that was it, became named.
And at some point during the end of 2015, what was kind of the result of Operation Planters, or what kind of happened?
Object, Your Honor, relevant.
I'm waiting for a response.
Can I?
Yeah,
No, not from
not from you. Your Honor, we believe that is going to be relevant as to how they moved on and kind of ended this portion of the investigation.
Sustained.
All right. Let me ask you this. When initially, was Kenneth Copeland the target? Did it appear as if Kenneth Copeland was the target of YFN in the early months of January 2015?
Yes.
At any point, did it appear that that target shifted to anyone else?
And speculation.
Sustained.
Now, I want to transition and transfer into music. As a gang investigator, has music ever become part of your investigations?
Yes.
Tell the jury, how does music become a part of your investigations?
In gang culture and in rap music, a lot of times some of the artists either highlight, taunt, or humiliate their opposition through music. And I think it's part entertainment, but from the position of an investigator.
I'm going to object from the position of investigator.
Well, I can.
This is not relevant from the position of investigator to go to what the jury is hearing about the allegations.
Speak as your expertise as a gang expert.
You want me to repeat what I just?
No.
Your Honor, I'm also going to object. This is outside of his expertise as a gang expert. Now we're talking about musicology and lyrics, and that is outside his expertise.
Overruled.
I think you can continue.
As rephrased by you.
Okay. As a gang expert, tell the jury how music can sometimes be involved in gang culture and rap, and how those two can coincide.
And gang culture and rap music is sometimes used to taunt, humiliate, and highlight some of their actions or to humiliate their opposition. A lot of times it's almost as if no one knows about it, then it didn't happen. So it's an opportunity to showcase what we did or to highlight what we did.
Objection on commenting on someone's intent, Your Honor. 704.
Sustained.
So don't come. What have you found? Let me ask you this. You talked about sometimes music can highlight, taunt, and humiliate. How have you seen examples of that as you've investigated as a gang investigator? How have you seen that type of highlighting, taunting, and humiliation in music?
You said, how have I seen it?
Yes.
For example, the song Get It Back in Blood. Get It Back in Blood is basically celebrating retaliation, illustrating to anybody that I'm going to get it back in blood. You do something to me, I'm going to retaliate to get it back in blood. And it basically spells it out in the song.
And as a law enforcement officer, or a gang investigator specifically, When you're doing your investigation, do you look for music and then start your investigation, or are you investigating crime?
Action asked and answered previously.
Well, I don't know the answer to that because I wasn't here when he testified previously. Um,
I don't recall specifically. That's all I'll say. I can't recall if he specifically talked about it. I don't recall.
Do you recall whether you already talked about this?
Judge, I've been here 3 times. I don't. I'm trying to keep up myself.
Okay, well, yeah. Why don't you just, if you need to hit that briefly, to
Just
go
very
ahead and do
quickly.
that.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you, when you're investigating, do you look for music and say, let me investigate this person, or does the music somehow come a part of the investigation?
Relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
We don't chase music, we chase crime. And through our investigation, all things are on the table. My job, when I work,
To what his job is, Your Honor, this is not appropriate.
Okay. In a song, when you may listen to a song that might have evidence of whether it's a crime or what you call highlighting, taunting, or humiliation, is the entire song often the subject of the humiliation, taunting, and highlighting, or might there be certain portions?
In order to the characterization of the question, evidence, perhaps information.
Sustained.
When you're hearing a song, does the entire song always humiliate, taunt, and highlight? Or could it be portions of the song that humiliate, taunt, and highlight?
just a portion. It might be a subliminal message, a small snippet.
704, Your Honor. It's the same thing, the intent.
Overruled.
And talk to the jury a little bit about subliminal messaging and how that can, what that looks like in a song.
Beyond expertise. We never had a Daubert hearing on
Yes,
this.
we did.
Not
Your
on
Honor,
this.
I have the Daubert order.
All right, we may have to take either a break or approach.
This might be.
Yeah, it's time to, this makes no sense to me. I can't remember, I remember a Daubert hearing, but I don't remember exactly what it was on. I don't think it was on this. I think this is the state trying to be sneaky again and trying to get stuff in that shouldn't be going in. But it could be me. But that's what I'm thinking anyway. I'm thinking that the state's fixing to try make something happen that it shouldn't be happening. But we'll just keep back here and wait and see what happens. Outcast Podcast, live, YouTube, YSL, day 146. Keep your eyes open on the channel. We'll be putting together a collage of the state failing from day one to where we're at now, and it's going to take a while to do it. We are going to do that project. It's the Outcast Podcast, live, YouTube. I wish they would have done this outside the presence of the jury in front of the camera so we could at least see what was going on. Because I'm interested to see if the state's trying to pull a fast one or if this was done in a dauber. But Glanville did some shady shit, so I'll leave it at that. That's the reason why he's no longer the judge on this case. And that's simply because he was doing some shady stuff and it catches up with you after a while. It really does. Outcast Podcast, YouTube, live, YSL 146.
A little too early for lunch, but
give us a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, looks like we might be fixing to have a Dauber hearing, folks. The Outcast podcast here on YouTube. Coming to you live, day 146 of the YSL trial. The state's off to a rough start this morning, and it's just getting rougher for them as I think he's fixing to get called out on something he said happened, and I don't think it happened. I don't remember it happened anyway, but hey, it could be me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I just maybe forgot this thing's been going on so freaking long. But we'll see what happens here. She's sending them to lunch early, so undoubtedly they got to have another Daubert hearing. And Love and Brown is not here today. Brown got his butt kicked yesterday, and Love got her butt kicked by the judge, especially Mr. Brown. Finally, Willis, I've watched a couple other content creators that live in Georgia, and one of them just flat out said, I'm voting for Trump. He's African American. He said, I'm not voting for Fonnie,
There's a rough of that Daubert.
and I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for Trump.
Ms. Hilton said something about that.
No, that was me, sorry. There's a rough of the court's ruling at the very least on the Daubert hearing, but I don't know that we have a rough of the actual hearing.
And we have our notes, so we're checking right now.
All right, and
YouTube. We're looking.
Everybody knew, right, that the state was at least going to offer investigator Dennis to testify about the lyrics, right?
I did. But what I was not aware of,
Just seems like the kind of thing that if y'all wanted the court to be having looked at this, you could have given me a heads up on.
I was unaware that there would be testimony as to, oh, this is decoded messages. That was never
Well, all
discussed.
right, no, but I ruled on that and I sustained the objection on that and Ms. Hilton understands that. So on the broader topic of, is he even qualified to testify about lyrics as a part of gang investigations, which I understand y'all now asserting that was never covered.
I'm not asserting that. What I understood was Detective Dennis, over objection, would testify, in this song, this is said. This lyric is said. That's what I believe the lyric is. That's the lyric in this song.
Right.
That's it. Now we're getting into, oh, we're sending messages.
No, we're not going to.
I understand. But that's what I was objecting
She's not,
to.
right. And so is there any other objection to him being able to testify about using lyrics in his investigations, in his opinion, which is only his opinion, as to what significance that has to his investigations?
Well, I'm not waiving my objections because I've objected to it, but that's what I believed was going to be testified to. But just
Understood,
that
but I'm
limited
asking,
amount.
it seemed at the bench that some people were maybe saying, we don't believe that he was ever qualified as an expert to be able to testify to any extent about lyrics. If I'm just misunderstanding, then please correct me, but we don't need to find the hearing transcript and sort it out if y'all aren't maintaining that.
I don't think that you're incorrect. I think you're correct. That's what we said at the.
Okay.
And just, don't want to seem like we're being cagey about it, but it was in December of 2022.
Okay,
when we
well,
had the
you know,
Daubert hearings.
it
And
may be
just-
that the easier thing to do is to just bring him in and do this little part of it now. I don't mind doing that if y'all,
I don't want to speak for everyone else. If there is a rough of the finding
I
in the
don't know.
Daubert, perhaps that might be
Oh,
helpful.
I've looked at the finding. That doesn't, I mean,
Well, not the
that-
order.
It's the ruling. That
Okay.
appears to be just the ruling, not the actual hearing itself. I can email that to everybody.
I'm not sure.
That might be helpful.
Well, y'all can certainly look at it, but that won't take very long. And then if anybody wants, we can
just have him come testify outside the jury's presence, and I'll make a determination as to whether he has the necessary expertise to be able to testify in the way that was about to be asked.
And Your Honor, to be clear, it's not about the lyrics, it's about gang promotion in the music. So it's not specifically about, I think maybe Mr. Weinstein said musicology. We're not talking about.
I know that, which is why I overruled that objection. A rough of the Daubert hearing. What we've got a rough of so far is some of his trial testimony. So, well, regardless. I'm going to recess for a few minutes. It looks like y'all are maybe trying to pull it up from the
It
live
sounds to me like
stream,
the
which
state
is fine.
is
if
saying,
you
yeah, we had a
find that-
hearing on this, and the defense is
But
like, no, we
I'm
never had a
gonna
hearing on
recess
this.
while
This is
y'all do that.
BS.
And
I don't
if
know.
any of the defendants need to use the restroom, y'all go do that as well.
All right, they're going to take a quick break. We'll be standing by. If you do make it this far in the video, or you catch the video at any point in time, please like, subscribe, help me build this channel up so that I can get to 1,000 subscribers, so that I can unlock tools that I don't have right now with YouTube, because I don't have enough subscribers. So please subscribe if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hey there, Young Thug Trial watchers. This is a law and crime legal alert. A mother was recently awarded millions of dollars in a lawsuit against baby formula manufacturers after her premature baby was diagnosed with necrotizing enterocolitis, or NEC, after receiving bovine-based formula. The lawsuits allege that Enfamil and Similac premature formulas are linked to NEC, but manufacturers failed to warn the public of the risks and instead targeted them with false advertising. So if your premature baby was diagnosed with NEC after they were fed Enfamil or Similac, you may qualify for compensation. And one of our legal sponsors is partnering with Wagstaff Law Firm. This is a national firm renowned for their expertise to ensure that eligible claims are thoroughly presented. Visit babyformuladamages.com/YTT.
So what are your feelings on the YSL trial and all the crap the state's trying to pull? I'm going to be putting together a special. It's going to go back from day one all the way to now of all the state failures. Every time the state was messed up, we're going to expose it. Right here on the Outcast Podcast, YouTube. Hey now.
Wait, now, Mr. Shard.
Yes, they just went outside to get.
Well, Mr. Botts is here.
Is he here? I didn't even see him. I didn't see him.
Go ahead.
Any work? I proceed?
Yes, please do.
So understanding the court's ruling in regards to Detective Dennis not being able to testify about subliminal messages or anything like that, and just going really to the basic issue of what he was qualified for, I'm just going to take my direction from the transcript that was thankfully sent to us by Ms. Percifield, as well as the court's actual order. Let me say first that the Daubert hearings were held initially back in December of 22, but I think Detective Dennis, if I'm remembering correctly, was one of those who we weren't able to do then, so he may have been in 2023.
Okay.
That notwithstanding, I don't have any recollection of the detective being questioned or talking about his ability to interpret lyrics as part of his expertise. And so if we're relying on what the court ordered or what the court ruled, I look at page 6 of the court, and I know you have it in front of you.
I do.
The court's order, which was drafted by the state.
It's adopted by the court, though, so that's
Right.
really neither here nor there. Go ahead.
Right. And so I just know that there is nothing in there where he is qualified to testify about anything in regards to any lyrics, in regards to interpretation of rap lyrics, nothing in regards to his training or his qualification thereof. So we'd maintain our position that he is not qualified to testify about what the state intends to qualify.
I thought that what y'all were looking back at was the live stream of the Daubert hearing.
We couldn't find it.
Okay. Well, the order on page 5 says that Detective Dennis also, quote, has extensive experience in evaluating their social media and communication practices, unquote. So if nobody can answer for me one way or another what it covered, and you maintain that you don't think it covered this, or you don't know what it covered, I'm happy to just have him come in here and let's hear his expertise on that and go on with it.
We're fine, because
right.
we do not accept that when the court says communication patterns, that they're talking specifically about rap lyrics. That's our position.
I don't know. Let's get him in here. If nobody can remember. And we don't have a transcript. Yeah, I need the detective, please. And Ms. Hilton, did either of y'all handle the Daubert on this witness?
No, Your Honor, and what he was qualified in is a gang expert, and I am positive he talked about how gang members use music.
Were you there?
I was present.
Okay.
And
is this from your memory?
This is from my memory, how music can play a role in gang promotion, how music can play a role in gang, in the promotion of the gang. And that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about lyrics and musicology, but how does music play a role in the game?
Do you recall the Daubert hearing
November.
involving you
Yes.
in this case?
Yes.
Do you remember whether you testified to your expertise and experience in terms of looking at lyrics and songs and
Yes.
using those in your
Yes.
gang investigations?
Yes.
Okay. Given that, anybody want to voir dire him on that topic, not his expertise, but whether he in fact testified about that already in the Daubert hearing?
Can I say
Yeah.
something else? We talked about lyrics the last time I was here with the halftime song, me and Mr. Adams. Also, the last time I testified, the second time.
Is it going to be anything beyond that? Same type of testimony?
No, that's it, Your Honor. I mean, it is how do gangs use music, period.
What's your question going to be?
Whether or not he is qualified to do any interpretation of music, rap lyrics as relates to his expertise in gangs. Not whether or not he's familiar with communication patterns of gangs, but specifically whether he can look at a particular rap lyric and make any interpretation about what that means to gangs, specifically in regards to this case.
Is that something that was already covered in the Daubert hearing?
Yes.
All right, we're not going to recover it. I mean, I don't have any reason to not believe this witness.
Understood.
Okay. Let's get the jury,
And
well, honestly, we
Hey,
should
Ted,
just
I'll-
let the jury go out to lunch at this point. How long are we going to be with this witness?
Your Honor, probably about another hour, hour and a half, if that.
All right. Do we know whether lunches are here yet? They're not? All right.
All right, ask for continued objection in regards to that, please.
Okay. Let's get the jury back in. Laura. All right, thank you. Ms. Hilton, you and just one member of the defense approach. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to get you back out here only to tell you that I'm going to release you for lunch. I sort of had a thought about something when y'all were on the way out that I think we need to probably take care of before we continue with the testimony of this witness. So I'm going to release y'all for lunch, and if y'all could be back at 1:15, please. Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead and be seated. So actually, in the last like 2 seconds, Ms. Percifield has received the rough of the Daubert hearing. So she's going to send that out to everybody. And if it's already resolved, then it's resolved and we can all just go to lunch. If not, we'll stick around here, do that little bit of a Daubert hearing, and then go to lunch. So just give us a few seconds, or well, a few minutes. Part of it, not all of it. So honestly, you know what? Ms. Percifield, how about you be looking and why don't we just go ahead and do our mini Daubert?
Your Honor, we found it
Yeah.
online too. We could share it if you want to do it that way too.
Oh, if you found it and we have an answer, great.
No. We have the YouTube position.
Oh.
Didn't watch it yet.
How long? I mean, I would imagine it's pretty long, right?
It's an hour.
I have it, but I didn't see the length.
I was here for an hour.
Unless that's searchable.
I was here for an hour.
You were here for an hour?
Yes, in my docket here.
Okay. I don't think it's.
Wasn't here long.
Yeah. Yes,
That is so cool.
most of the time. So if you
For
give me,
like words?
yes,
That's amazing.
if you give me a few minutes,
Okay.
we'll know if this one is searchable.
Did you send it to me? Somebody be looking at the transcript that we have and.
Can you share the YouTube link with the state?
Douglas is sharing it with the state and recording right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it just takes a minute on our internet for things to get.
I'm trying to pull it up. You have it? No. I'm not searching, I'm trying to find the link.
You got it.
First of all, I'm sending it to you.
Okay.
Have that one.
Detective Dennis clearly testified about lyrics and understanding what's going on in the music and it maybe just meaning something to the average listener and other people, to other things to members in a gang. So
That's page 16.
well, what I'm looking at is page 51, but this was covered and he was qualified. So I'm satisfied.
Page 51.
51, 52,
41.
41. $55. $16. All right, so he's qualified. We're breaking for lunch. See y'all back at 1:15.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank y'all.
Folks, I'm not gonna lie, I had to step away to go get something to eat. I don't know where we're at. Let's figure out where we're at here real quick. So I know what we're doing. I don't know if we're at lunch. I think we're probably at lunch. Let's see here.
All right, so he's qualified. We're breaking for lunch. See y'all back at 1:15.
Yep, okay, they go on lunch. All right. So we're
Thank you,
on
Your Honor.
lunch till 1:15. All right. I'll see you folks at 1:15. The Outcast Podcast YouTube Live. Court is on recess until 12:45 or either 1:45, but I think it's 12:45. But we'll keep it right here. I'm going to get a little bit of music going for you. Outcast Podcast live on YouTube. Hey now.